Today's case is one that is back in the current headlines. Now, many of you guys have been requesting coverage on this case, and I wanted to wait until there was enough information out there to really just discuss it and give you a full overview. But I do want to give you a little bit of a pre-warning that the information in this case seemed to be very conflicting, but I have done my best to kind of sort through and figure out exactly what happened. But I just want to remind you guys to please remember to always do your own research and form your own opinions. So today we're going to go over all there is to know in the case of Alicia Navarro, who first went missing back in 2019 and recently walked into a police station and told officers to remove her name from the missing children's registry. Hey guys, I'm Elise. This is 10 to Life. Let's jump right in. 18-year-old Alicia Navarro was born on September 20th, 2004 to her mother Jessica Nunez and to her father. Now, not much is really known about Alicia's biological father, as it seems like her mom was mostly the one to raise her. Alicia was diagnosed with autism at a young age, and she was considered to be high-functioning. Now, the official term for high-functioning autism would be ASD Level 1. I should also note that high-functioning is a term that many people do not agree with, partly because when some people consider someone high-functioning, things that they may actually need for support and to help support them can oftentimes be overlooked. Level 1 autism comes with its own set of challenges that often need additional support. And oftentimes these can include things like sensory issues, social challenges, emotional dysregulation, anxiety, and depression. Also executive planning problems and communication challenges. So it can be very complex, and there are a lot of differing views and opinions on the term. Now, Alicia was known to mostly struggle in the social aspect and the sensory aspect. She also did struggle with anxiety. In terms of the sensory aspect of her diagnosis, foods were tricky for her, and so was clothing. She was known to wear sweatshirts very often, and she had a bit of a limited wardrobe because they had to find things that didn't bother her. She also had a very limited selections of foods that she would eat. Socially, Alicia was not someone who really enjoyed in-person interaction a whole bunch. While she had a group of friends that she'd known since pre-K, she mostly preferred keeping to herself during in-person situations. In a school project that she did, she had described herself as quiet, odd, nervous, weird, introverted, and nerdy. To her family, though, Alicia was described as kind and loving. But Alicia had her own way of socializing that felt comfortable for her. Around 11 years old, she began getting really interested in social media and online gaming. She felt a bit more confident there and had an easier time making and maintaining connections in her own way. She was known to play games such as Roblox and Minecraft, and she also enjoyed speaking to the friends that she had made online on a chat app called Discord. She would often stay up super late into the night gaming and talking to these friends that she had made. Now, Alicia and her mother, Jessica, had an amazing relationship, and the only arguments that Jessica ever really had with Alicia related to her online presence. It's a known fact that no one should be giving out personal information online to strangers, and it's a conversation that a lot of parents have to have with their children at a very young age. In fact, every parent should be having those conversations with their kids based on the world that we live in currently. But children, and especially for someone like Alicia, who was on the spectrum and struggled socially, understanding the risks could sometimes be a challenge. There were 2 incidents that had happened previously. The first one was regarding Alicia sharing personal information with a stranger online. When her mom found out about it, she took it very seriously and had a very serious discussion with Alicia to help her better understand the risks that are associated with it. At another point, Jessica saw that a grown man had been messaging Alicia. In those messages, he was being very, very creepy toward her, saying things like asking if she liked stuffed animals, and then spoke to Alicia about him being a stuffed animal for her to love on if she didn't have any. Just really creepy and sick behavior and predatory, in my opinion. Now, for her mom, Jessica, that was absolutely terrifying. She called the police, but because what the man was doing wasn't illegal, the only thing she could really do was file a report and take steps to ensure that Alicia knew and understood how to stay safe online. But regardless of what had happened previously, Jessica didn't really realize just how dangerous the online world could be, and she felt bad for taking the one thing that her daughter truly enjoyed away from her. She ultimately just wanted Alicia to be happy, and she felt that if Alicia was at home physically, that no matter what she did online, she would be physically safe. In 2019, at the age of 14, Alicia started high school at Bourgade Catholic High School. This was a new change and a big change, but it was something that Alicia was really excited about. Due to some of the things that she had struggled with, she had switched schools a few times throughout her schooling career. Alicia's previous history was that she was usually the one who would just kind of roll out of bed, get dressed, and then go to school. She wasn't one who really cared much about her looks or anything of that sort. Like I said, she pretty much just kept to herself. But things started to change once she started high school. Alicia started asking for things that weren't very typical for her and want to have, such as makeup and perfume. Now, obviously, her mom was a little caught off guard by this, but she figured that Alicia was just growing up and wanting to become a woman, fit in, do all of those things, and so she got them for her. She also had asked for a really expensive comic book, which was odd because she had never been into comic books before, ever. But again, maybe she found a new group of friends, maybe she was just trying to connect and fit in with them. Alicia had also always worn mostly sweatshirts and long sleeves. However, after starting school, she asked her mother Jessica for an open back shirt, which Jessica did not buy her due to feeling like it was inappropriate. Alicia also started showing interest in things like protein powder and rock music, when she was previously a pop music kind of girl. But overall, despite these changes, school seemed to be going well for Alicia. She was finding her own path, kind of forging ahead, finding new interests, something that is very typical for kids that age. Her grades were good, and she even seemed to be expanding her social circle. She had even asked to go to the mall alone with 2 older high school guys, which Jessica, her mother, did allow. Overall, she just seemed like a completely different child going into high school. On Friday, September 13th, 2019, Alicia asked to stay home from school. She often dealt with bouts of anxiety, and that seemed to be the case on that particular day. So her mother, Jessica, decided to let her stay home and basically just take a mental health day. She was the one who usually took Alicia to all of her appointments and therapies, so she was the first person who would always make sure that Alicia did the things that she needed to do, especially in order to help her mental health. So that specific day, Alicia mostly just hung out in her room like a typical teenager. The following day, on the 14th, Jessica and Alicia did the typical teenage mother-daughter things. They went to get their eyebrows threaded, they had visited a chocolate factory, they also had McDonald's, which was something Alicia never turned down, and it was just a normal day, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Alicia was so happy that day, and it was a good day for them. So that night, her mother, Jessica, could hear Alicia laughing in her room. Alicia went downstairs close to 1 a.m. while Jessica was hanging out downstairs as well. Now, Alicia's stepfather, Ivan, worked nights at the time, so her mother, Jessica, would often stay up waiting for him so that they could get some time together before going to bed. So Alicia went down to get water, but then she stopped and asked her mom what she was still doing up, since it was late, and she asked her what time she was going to bed. Her mom told her not to worry about it and that she was just waiting for Ivan to get home, to which Alicia told her if she didn't get sleep, she would be in a bad mood. Ivan eventually came home around 2 a.m., and Jessica ended up going to sleep upstairs, and Ivan fell asleep while he was downstairs on the couch. Just a few hours later, Jessica was up for the day around 7 a.m. She went downstairs to make breakfast for the family, which was pretty typical of their daily routines, especially on what should have been a leisurely Sunday morning. But something was off. The family's back door was basically just off the side of the kitchen, and Jessica noticed that it was slightly open. At first, she thought that maybe Ivan had left it open. Obviously, nothing looked off in the home, and it's common that people sometimes forget to lock doors every so often. However, Ivan said he didn't do that, and that's when Ivan ran up to Alicia's room to check on her. But when he went into her room, she wasn't there. Further searches of the house showed that Alicia was nowhere to be found inside the home. And when they had gone out in the backyard, they saw footprints in the dirt and chairs and bricks stacked up in a way that would appear as if Alicia had actually left the house on her own. And they knew that she had to have left. A channel called Down the Rabbit Hole News posted a great video that shows how she would have left the home, and I will put that in here.
There was more than, I don't know how she stacked them up, because there are like more. Like, I don't think she thought, because the low one was like up here. And this was like up here. And another one, like, I don't think she, you know what I mean? There were there was like 4 chairs here accumulated like that. So I don't understand. I think it's stuck. When she jumped, there were like her shoe prints were going towards this direction. That's why I know she jumped from here. And there was a shovel accumulated like that. These bricks were over here more. It cleaned up, it's been a year. But she jumped through here, and I believe she used this, to jump like this. Oh, sorry, to the other side. Because that's where the footprints were going towards there. Unfortunately, there's gravel on the other side, so it's hard to know what direction she went because it's rocks. There is no prints from there, to see if she went that way or this way. But that's her room. Here's a more clear picture there.
But this was pretty odd for a girl who preferred to spend her time at home. She had literally been seeing a behavioral coach to help her with the anxiety she had about leaving home. She had recently gotten a bit better, but she wouldn't just usually voluntarily leave like that. Not only did she often have anxiety about leaving home, but Alicia was also very routine-oriented. She liked things to happen in a very routine fashion without deviating from the plan. They also quickly realized that she had taken her MacBook with her and also her phone, but she had left behind her chargers. Now, because she had a limited clothing collection, they were able to narrow down and realize that she had taken a white sweatshirt, a denim overall skirt, black and white sneakers, and a black backpack that had metallic ears on it. She had also taken that comic book, some body spray, and makeup. I mean, really not a lot of things if she was planning to be gone for an extended period of time. But the fact that she didn't take her chargers was what really indicated that maybe she was planning on coming back fairly soon. Her devices were kind of like her lifeline, so surely, if she's constantly on them, if she was planning to be away for a long period of time, she would have brought the chargers with her. So Alicia's family notified law enforcement, and they came over to help search. Runaway teenagers are something police deal with very frequently, and I'm sure that they just assumed that she was like any other teenager. And that's when the first big break in this case happened. As her mother Jessica was searching her room for clues, she had found a note that was left behind. The note read, "I ran away. I will be back, I swear. I'm sorry, Alicia." The note was written in very sloppy handwriting, and Alicia was known to have beautiful penmanship. However, Jessica had no doubt that it was Alicia's handwriting, and it seemed like maybe she had just written that when she was in a hurry and trying to run out the door. The following day, on September 16th, Jessica pleaded with law enforcement to release a silver alert. Alicia didn't qualify for an amber alert because there was no abduction that had taken place. However, a silver alert is for people who are 65 years or older or someone who has a developmental disability. With Alicia's autism diagnosis, she technically could qualify. So thankfully, that same day, law enforcement did put out that silver alert. Jessica was extremely concerned, and she was basically running her own investigation on the whereabouts of her daughter alongside the police investigation that was, of course, now active. There had been a couple of sightings reported within the first few days of Alicia being missing. These sightings were said to be at a park called La Pradera, which is only about 1.5 miles from her home. But when Jessica went to the park, she didn't find Alicia, and there were no security cameras. But there were people there who did say that they had seen Alicia in that area walking with a man who had a darker complexion. Alicia's 15th birthday was on September 20th. In the Latino community, a girl's 15th birthday is usually a very big deal. Usually they have a quinceañera or some sort of big party, but Alicia wasn't the type to want that. Instead, they had planned on going out for steaks and having red velvet cake after to celebrate. Alicia was super excited about this because steak wasn't a part of her select group of foods that she would usually eat, and she was really excited to try it. So of course, with the excitement of her birthday on the horizon, her parents certainly thought that she would come back to celebrate it. But September 20th came and went. Alicia had not come home for her 15th birthday. Instead, her mom Jessica spent part of the day at the local park celebrating with strangers who were there helping search for Alicia. She was heartbroken, and the fears grew even larger when Alicia herself missed her own birthday. As the days went on, desperation grew. And not only did the desperation grow, but so did Jessica's feelings that Alicia had been lured away from her home by someone that she met online. But Jessica was not giving up. Not only was she out following up on the leads, but she was also out driving around at night looking for Alicia. And the things that she saw were absolutely horrifying. She saw minors who were on drugs and minors who were participating in sex work. More than likely, those minors were also being trafficked. So that only made Jessica fear even more about what could possibly have been going on with Alicia missing. Within a few days, the FBI got involved in the search when no one had heard from Alicia and no one had been able to track her down. Now, because Alicia had her devices, it made things a bit harder. The FBI was able to gain access to her social media accounts, though, and while it seemed like there hadn't been any activity since the morning she went missing, they did still find a couple of things worth noting. The first thing was that a few days prior to going missing, Alicia had messaged a guy who she had become friends with because they gamed together. His name is Clark, and he was 20 years old. About 11 days before Alicia had run away, she had messaged Clark and told him that she had sold her Xbox, but also that she had a new boyfriend. Now, at the time, Clark wasn't really too sure whether or not to believe her, and he basically told investigators that there were times that Alicia would stretch the truth, or just not tell the full truth, so no one really ever knew what to believe. Clark later told someone that he willingly gave up his Xbox and his phone for 18 hours to try to help possibly find anything in regards to Alicia's whereabouts. Not only did law enforcement talk to Clark, but they also reached out to the guys that Alicia had gone to the mall with that day. One of the guys told law enforcement that when they were at the mall, Alicia had a burner phone. Now, Jessica, her mother, was obviously unaware of this supposed burner phone, and it was even more confusing because from her recollection, Alicia actually hadn't taken anything with her to the mall. Although we know that a cell phone is very small, so if she did have one, maybe she was just hiding it in her pocket or her bag or something like that. But the question I would have is, where did she get that burner phone? She never went out of the house alone. It would seem unlikely that she would have somehow gotten a burner phone without her mom seeing it. Other friends also allegedly told law enforcement that Alicia had told them that she was going to run away. So while law enforcement was clearly looking for Alicia, this wasn't an abduction case. So honestly, it seemed like most of the attention on the case came due to Jessica's advocacy in finding her daughter. Not only was she passionate about finding her daughter, but she also became passionate about ending human trafficking. Somewhere around March 2020, 6 months after Alicia had gone missing, some hope was renewed when a private investigator by the name of Trent Steele got involved in the case. Trent works with the Anti-Predator Project, which is a nonprofit that works very hard to end trafficking. Their website says that they do not charge families any money for the work that they do to help find their loved ones, and they claim that their reasoning for that is that no one should have to pay a fee for assistance in the darkest times of their lives, which honestly is just really incredible for them to provide their services free of charge. So many families spend thousands upon thousands of dollars for private investigators to help find their loved ones. And because of the circumstances of Alicia's disappearance, her case seemed to be more challenging than most cases, which meant that someone donating their time and services was even more extraordinary. Law enforcement set up a couple of billboards and even had Alicia's face on the little screens at the gas station pumps all across America. Alicia's family raised enough money through donations and placed as many billboards as they could. Arizona is a bordering state to Mexico, so Jessica even had some billboards placed in Mexico. It was not that she had any reason to believe that Alicia had gone there, it was simply that she wanted to make sure that all ground was covered. If there was anything to be done to help find her daughter, she was going to be the first one to do it. But unfortunately, no solid leads came in. 1 year passed, then 2 years passed, and then 3 years passed, but Jessica never gave up hope, and neither did the public. But the reality is, after years pass, most people aren't found alive. Jessica stayed active on the Finding Alicia Facebook page and even TikTok. Law enforcement remained pretty quiet because there wasn't much to discuss since they had absolutely no news on where she was or what was going on. But on July 23rd of this year, nearly 4 years after Alicia went missing, a bombshell update came in the case that completely shocked everyone when it was announced. Alicia was alive and located. And not only was she alive and located, but she appeared to be completely healthy physically. The circumstances in which she was located was what shocked most people. Law enforcement held a press conference to share the information about locating Alicia.
Good afternoon. My name is Jose Santiago. I'm the media manager here at the Glendale Police Department. We want to first start off by telling you all thank you for your coverage on this announcement today. It is a major announcement for us here at the Glendale Police Department. I want to start off by saying that there's a lot of mixed emotions with this particular announcement that we're having. We are happy, and at the same time, we're hopeful that we will be able to supply this family a little bit more closure. With that, I would like to tell you that Alicia Navarro has been located. She is, by all accounts, safe. She is, by all accounts, healthy, and she is, by all accounts, happy. She was located in a very small town in Montana near the Canadian border. We can tell you that she went to a local police department in that area. She identified herself as Alicia Navarro, and at that point, our officers went into investigation mode. We conducted several types of interviews, and not only through those interviews, but through the help of Alicia's family themselves, we are confident that the person that we are talking with and are dealing with is indeed Alicia Navarro. I can't even begin to express to you all the pride that I personally have in the men and women here at our police department. Since her discovery, our men and women here have been working tirelessly around the clock to not only bring closure to this family, but to make sure that Alicia gets everything that she possibly needs. I'm also going to bring up Lieutenant Scott Waite. It's his team that has been leading this investigation. He will have a few words.
Thank you, Jose. Again, Lieutenant Scott Waite, Glendale Police Department. I don't think you could put enough words in the joy that we feel knowing earlier this week when we received a call that Alicia Navarro had identified herself to police officers in Montana. Not only the relief and joy for us, for Alicia, for her family, and for our community. There hasn't been, I think, anybody that hasn't known this investigation that hasn't put themselves in the same spot as Alicia, her family, and the emotions that they must be going through, not only back in 2019 when this occurred, but in the last few days. With that, we want you to know that we are continuing to investigate. We immediately responded to the area, and with the help of the United States Marshal Service, as well as the FBI, we've been able to continue this investigation, to make contact with Alicia, to reunite her with her family, and only begin to put together the puzzle, which is her disappearance and her returning. I would ask patience, not only for us as law enforcement in this investigation, but patience for Alicia and for her family. We can only imagine what she's going through mentally, emotionally, as well as her family. And as much as we'd like to say this is the end, we know this is probably only the beginning of where this investigation will go, and that we will continue to work with our state, local, federal partners, and even across state lines to make sure that Alicia has everything that she needs, that she's taken care of, that her family is getting the help that they need, and that most importantly, that this investigation is completed thoroughly and done correctly. Thank you.
After they made that initial announcement, they took some questions. They told the public that they weren't sure if she had been with anyone else during her time missing, but that the initial first appearance at the police station and each subsequent one, she was alone. When they were asked if the whole thing was a runaway question, they kind of beat around the bush, saying that from Alicia's statement, it seems like it started as a runaway, but that all the options were on the table. So this led people to wondering if she had been possibly held against her will. They made it clear that Alicia was not facing any charges. She wasn't being held against her will by the police, and she was coming and going to the police station on her own free will. They then discussed potential future plans, reunifications, Alicia's current state, and all the information surrounding those types of things within this case.
Does she want to come back to Arizona?
I still think it's really early in her healing process as to where she wants to stay, and that's certainly up to her, and we will help her in any way possible to make sure that she is in her best situation and the most comfortable that she could possibly be.
I know that her mom has been searching for her since she went missing. You said that you were able to reunite her family and her. Were you there for that? Can you describe what that was like?
Emotionally overwhelming, not only for the mother, but for Alicia herself. With respect to the family, I'm not going to go into specifics on how that reunification was done, but I can say for everybody involved, including the detectives, it was extremely overwhelming.
Which family members were there for that reunification?
The first notification was to her mother, and that was the first notification, and I would say reunification that's happened.
Did the investigation ever indicate Montana?
So throughout the last few years, there's been a lot of tips, leads, citizen upon citizen who's wanted to help with this investigation. And I can tell you that each tip and lead were looked into. As to specifics, where there were any in Montana, I would have to look back and see. But I know that there are some that spanned across all parts of this country.
I know it's early, but was she staying with a friend in Montana?
We just don't know the answer to that question right now. Right now, those are some of the questions that we have. She's overwhelmed. She's overwhelmed. She realizes that there's been a lot of attention on this case. She is very knowledgeable as far as that's concerned. Right now, her priority is to work with us. She wanted to talk to her mom, and she wanted to make sure her mother knew she was okay. And we're taking it day by day, step by step with her. It's important to tag along to what Lieutenant Waite just said. With this case, there were literally thousands of tips that would come in on this case. This has been going on for nearly 4 years now. And every one of those tips, every one of those possibilities were looked into, investigated, and we're just happy to say that she did indeed come forward, and we feel very strongly that this is Alicia.
I know she had let her know before she left. Do we know that, or can we confirm that she did indeed leave her house voluntarily?
From every indication that she's given us, and again, it's very early in the investigation, and I need to stress again patience and that it is early, but every indication she's given us so far is that she willfully left her home, her own free will and choice. Now, the dynamics surrounding that decision are obviously something that we're looking into.
I know we have an FBI representative here. I don't know if he wants to share his role in all of this.
And Mrs. Phil Bates.
As with every missing juvenile case, the FBI assists our state and local partners with intelligence gathering and with other resources as necessary. This is no different in this case. We provided support to the Glendale Police Department and will continue to support both here in Arizona and in Montana.
What are the next steps in a case like this? Obviously she's safe and happy and healthy. At this point, no indication that anybody is being charged with any sort of crime. But what are the next steps? What does your investigation look like from here?
Complex. It's multifaceted. There's two parts to it. In any investigation like this, there's a criminal element. Of course there is. We want to search and find the answers. If there was any criminal intent behind it, certainly not from her, but from others involved. And then there's also the assistance side of it. To us, she is a victim, and we need to provide services to her, whether that be mental or just health-wise, or just helping her get her life back in order. So there's certainly a lot of different things that we want to make sure, not only for Alicia, but her family, that we cover all the steps that we can.
Did she need medical attention after she took herself, or she showed up to the station?
I can say that she didn't require any immediate medical attention or any medical attention since we've been with her. Again, I think Jose stated well, she seems happy and healthy to the extent that she can be, given the circumstance. But that's certainly something that we want to help provide for her and make sure that if she hasn't seen a doctor in the last few years, that those are things that we are able to provide for her and make sure that she has everything necessary to really move on with her life and enjoy the rest of her life.
Was there any social media involvement, things that we did speak on when she first left, that somebody probably did speak to her and convince her to house through social media? Could that be the case?
So that's part of any investigation. That was obviously part of the initial investigation. The family was very supportive and cooperative in providing whatever information that they had as to her, we'll call social media fingerprint, and what she was using. I can tell you that we followed those leads extensively. We continue to follow them. We continue to look back from the very day, minute, hour that she left and try and go down every lead that we can to see if that'll provide answers, and certainly now that hasn't stopped and will continue.
Any inclination of why now? And a lot of these cases don't turn out like this, so can you tell us your reaction as well?
I think for Alicia is that she felt like now was the time that, whether it's emotionally, mentally, that she wants to take the next steps in her life. She's expressed a desire to move forward in life and do the things that a normal, healthy adult would do. And we certainly want to help her get those. So I can't say that there's any single triggering moment. I think there's probably been a long progression for her in the journey that she's taken, and we are more than happy, ready and willing to help her through the rest of her path.
Is Alicia still in Montana? I'm sorry if you mentioned that already.
Yes, she is still there with the local police up there, with our investigators, and we are continuing to help her in whatever way we can.
After the press conference, they released a photo of Alicia as well as 2 short video clips.
Did anybody hurt you in any way?
No, no one hurt me.
Okay, because our goal is we just want to make sure that you're safe.
I understand that.
Thank you very much for talking with us.
Of course, thank you for offering help to me.
Yes, ma'am. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Alicia's mother, Jessica, also posted on Facebook that Alicia had been found. Shortly after the press conference, she released a video statement on Facebook as well.
Hello everybody, hola a todos. Al final voy a hacer este video en español. At the end I will do this video in Spanish. I do feel I owe this video to the community and to God, because first of all I want to give glory to God for answering your prayers and for this miracle. For everyone who has missing loved ones, I want you to use this case as an example that miracles do exist, and never lose hope and always fight. My daughter, Alicia Navarro, was missing since September 15, 2019. She has been found safe. I do not know the details. I do confirm that she is my daughter, she is alive, and she is safe. This is recent news for me. It was an hour before it was posted in social media and the news. I don't have details, but the important thing is that she is alive. And I want to thank the community and God for all that you have done.
Between the press conference and the Facebook video, it seems like there started to be more statements than answers. On July 27th, her family released a statement saying the following: "We want to start by saying how happy we are that Alicia has been found alive and safe. It is a blessing that after being missing for so long, Alicia can come back home. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of the families of missing loved ones that have not yet returned home. If there is anything that Alicia's story has taught us, is that you can never give up hope. We would also like to thank the Glendale Police Department and specifically Detective Travis Darby for his hard work and dedication to bringing Alicia home. Thank you to the entire Anti-Predator Project team, not only for their hard work and dedication to bringing Alicia home, but also for their commitment to supporting our family through these hard times. The local and national media has been so important the last several years in keeping Alicia's story alive, and our family cannot say thank you enough for that. Finally, we would like to say thank you for all of the love and support that we have received from everyone around the country. It has helped our family through some of the very dark times, and we cannot say thank you enough. At this time, we are asking for some privacy so our family can begin the healing process and reclaim some normalcy. You have all been a blessing in our life, and we wish you all the very best." So over the past few days, more and more information has started to surface on Alicia, her whereabouts, and the possibilities of why and how she remained missing for so long. We now know that Alicia went to the police station in Havre, Montana. It's right around 40 miles from the Canadian border. We also know that Alicia went into the police department and specifically asked how to be taken off the missing persons list. She also wanted to get a driver's license. According to people who live in the neighborhood Alicia was allegedly staying in, the apartment was raided on July 26th, and that was when rumors began flying. Neighbors reported that the FBI staked out at the apartment and then closed in and entered with guns and with bulletproof vests on. Police brought out a man in handcuffs shortly after that, and a few minutes after that, it seemed as if they brought Alicia out. Some neighbors were very confused because of how young Alicia looks, while another neighbor named Garrett Smith told reporters that Alicia had been living there for at least a year with that man. On Friday the 28th, police were open with the public and said that they had detained a man for questioning during the execution of that search warrant. They said that he was then released and that they have also interviewed 3 other people. Many rumors have been spreading that there have been arrests made in this case. However, law enforcement has maintained that no arrests have been made. Now, as far as we know, Jessica still has not been able to travel to Montana to see Alicia, and when her private investigator was asked about it, he said they need to keep Alicia close, the law enforcement officers who are currently working the investigation. And until they are done with what they need to keep her close. It has nothing to do with family dynamics. On August 1st, photographs were taken of Alicia and this man that she has allegedly been living with. People in the local area say his name is Eddie Davis and that he is 36 years old. These photos that were taken were on Eddie's parents' property in Harlem, Montana, at the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation. According to the New York Post, they have moved out of the apartment that they were previously living in, and they were seen unloading a van at Eddie's parents' house. I guess they might be staying there for now to avoid media attention or something like that, I'm not sure. The people who live on the reservation don't seem too happy about Alicia and Eddie being there. The reservation is made up of 2 tribes and has about 3,500 members living there. Some members of the reservation have spoken out about some of the issues that have taken place on their reservation or the things that the reservation is currently experiencing, including high levels of drug and alcohol use and a lot of intergenerational trauma. Take that for what you will. There have also been a few well-documented crimes that have also happened on the reservation. They have publicly stated that they want to and need to heighten the law enforcement presence. However, they don't seem to have the funding to do so. Despite the issues and the crime, they still love where they live and say that there are a lot of positives. However, they are not happy about the idea of adding any more issues to the things that they already are dealing with. There is a group called Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, and allegedly there is a group of men within that group that really want to get Alicia alone. They fear that she is being mistreated by him, and they don't like the reservation making national headlines due to allowing Eddie to live on the reservation. And just recently, even more information has come out regarding Eddie, which makes it even more understandable why they don't want him there. A former coworker said that Eddie had been fired from his job as a night stalker at Walmart due to being aggressive and calling the younger male employees names. At one point, another coworker had invited Eddie out to a bar and told him that he could bring his girlfriend, quote, girlfriend, but Eddie explained that the girl in question, who turned out to be Alicia, wasn't his girlfriend and that she was too young and was actually his niece. The neighbor Garrett also said a few days before Alicia went to the police station, she was looking for Eddie by the local post office and referring to him as her uncle. She told him that she was walking with her uncle, got lost, and was looking for 6th Street. But he's not her uncle, so clearly it seems like they were probably trying to keep the whole relationship under wraps. Alicia's disappearance has continued to be pretty mind-blowing and hard for people to grapple with. There are still many unknowns. Was she lured away? Did she choose to leave with plans to come back and then maybe something happened? Why exactly now did she decide to come forward? How did she even get almost 1,400 miles away in the first place? Has she just not touched social media since she left home? It does seem unlikely that she went from daily social media usage to none. And perhaps the most interesting part of all is that she seems to still be living with this guy. And while I don't want to speculate too much and have no idea when the two of them met, an 18-year-old girl and a 36-year-old man honestly raises some red flags for me. And I would love to hear your opinions on what you think happened and why Alicia was gone for so long before reappearing. Another thought that I had, if I were Alicia and if I had willingly run away for a love interest or for whatever that may have been, and now I'm an adult and I'm trying to travel or I'm trying to move forward with this person still in my life, we know that she went to the police department and asked for a driver's license. So was the reason she asked for her name to be taken off the missing children's list because she knew that if she applied for a driver's license, it would get flagged in the system and they'd say, oh my gosh, you're a missing person. We found you, all of these things. So she wanted to get her name off of that before getting the driver's license. And was the reason she wanted the driver's license to have an ID, again, to travel, to continue to live with this man because they're in love. And now this is all a formality of why she has reappeared. And could the reason she hasn't been in contact with her family be an element of Stockholm Syndrome by this older man? I don't know. I mean, my mind is going wild. So I would love to hear your thoughts. I have my own personal opinions on what the situation may have been, but I'm not going to publicly share that yet because I don't want to sway anybody out there. So make your own decisions and let me know what you think. But before I sign off, I just want to take a moment to remind you that it is imperative to have those tough conversations with your kids. Tell them the dangers of the internet. Create some sort of open device policy in your home that ensures that you can randomly check in on what your kids are doing on their devices. Hold off on cell phones and social media for as long as you can. And do your best to try to make sure that when your kids do get those things, they know how to use them safely so that they won't ever be put in dangerous situations due to the internet or an easy target for a predator. Again, while we don't exactly know what happened with Alicia, we know enough to see that extra safeguards would have been a great thing for her. I will keep you all updated with any new details that come out, as I'm sure that there will be a lot over the next few weeks and months. So make sure to check back over on here, or so that you don't miss any of those updates, just quickly hit the subscribe button. That way when I do post an update on this case, it will show up automatically in your YouTube feed. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about this case. And just to remind you, as I said at the top of this video, there are a lot of conflicting stories out there and a lot of rumors swirling, so please do your own research and form your own opinions. All right, guys, thanks again, and until the next case, stay safe. Bye.